Hello everyone, I'm the Algerian General and welcome into episode 2 of my modding bootcamp or my modding tutorial series. So first of all, I would love to apologize to you guys for the lack of content in the past few days. I had a lot of issues, life, of course I had to work on Darkest Hour, working of course on the new updates, and I'm possibly going to post an update on that very soon. I've already posted a dev diary on that a week ago. But of course there'll be more updates coming up, maybe even updates on my channel, so stay tuned for that. I also received my new graphics card a week ago as well, and it's just amazing compared to the GT 610 that I used to run. This Asus GTX 750 is a whole lot better, and I can run whatever game I have currently with some really decent graphics. And you know what this means? I'm gonna be making some playthroughs very soon. Now, I'm quite unsure of what playthrough I should do on my channel. Like, this is, I believe, quite important. I might have to make a poll on this. I could be wrong, but we'll have to see. I'm gonna maybe make an update video on that very soon. So today we're gonna be working. We're gonna be messing with some code as well. We're gonna be messing with some really interesting stuff, ideas. So today we're gonna be learning about what are ideas. What kind of ideas exist in HOI IV? What's the purpose of ideas? I mean, as in, what can they do and so on. And we're also going to learn about the third kind of syntax in HOI IV. So last time in the events episode, we have checked two kinds of syntax. You have the first, which is commands, and the second, which is conditions. So today, we're hopefully going to learn about modifiers. So I don't really have internet at the moment, which means I won't really be able to of course, show you guys some links and so on. But I do have the web page actually saved as an HTML file. So no worries, no biggie, right? So what are ideas? Ideas are simply well, things, right? Things you get simply. So what kind of ideas exist in HOI IV? Well, the first kind is what we call national spirits. It's kind of like, the bitter loser trait or Trotskyite plot for the Soviet Union. These are obvious things. These are national spirits. And if you played HOI IV, you know what these things are. Simple, right? The second type is called hidden ideas. They're basically national spirits, but they don't really show up on the tab, so you don't really get to see them. However, they still apply the effects. So pretty much if there is, say, an idea, a hidden idea that gives you plus 50% political power gain, you will not see it in the national spirit bar. You're not going to be able to see it there. However, if you actually hover on your political power screen or thingy, right, you're going to be able to see the gain, right, and you're going to be able to see the idea modifying that gain in the toolbox. So simply, hidden ideas are national spirits that are hidden from the tab, so you can't really see them. However, their effect can be seen in the toolbars and toolboxes. And the third type is what we call regular ideas. A good example would be companies, for instance, chief of army, chief of staff, chief of navy, political advisors. These are all ideas. They have specific categories, as you know. So today hopefully we're going to learn how these categories work. How can you add your own category? How can you add your own ideas as well? But before we get into that, you might be wondering, what's the point of ideas? What can ideas do that events and decisions and focuses can't? You see, events and focuses and decisions usually give you a direct effect, say plus 100% political power. I mean, plus 100 political power, or plus 50 army XP, or say, it gives you a specific effect, right? An effect that, okay, the effect is done. Okay, there's nothing more that's gonna come out of it. However, an idea is going to give you a modifier. So say, for instance, I don't know, plus production speed, plus construction speed for rocket sites, plus this, plus that. So we're going to get into a whole we're gonna get into the modifiers in a second, but this is the main purpose of ideas, is for them to work as platforms for you to apply these modifiers. They can also be used for other purposes. Sometimes an idea doesn't have any effect at all. A nice example would possibly be the I don't really remember, but maybe the Treaty of Trianon, as that one actually doesn't allow you to say go above a certain conscription law or this or that. You can actually use them as a trigger, which is also nice and dandy. So we're going to get now into some code, mainly vanilla code, since, well, that's simple stuff, right? So we're going to go here into ideas, and for instance, Afghanistan. Now, we're going to be using the HOI IV syntax I have made. If you don't have it, I highly advise you check episode 0. A link of the playlist will be in the description down below. So here is what the idea file looks like. Now, I know it might look spooky at first. Lots of code, lots of details, but it's fairly simple. So first you have ideas. So whatever idea file you will check, so the Afghanistan one, the manpower one, it always starts with idea equals, and of course it opens up the brackets. Then you have the what we call the idea tag, which is basically the kind of ideas you're doing here. So you might be wondering, where can I see these? You can just go to idea tag, obviously, and you'll be finding all the idea categories here. So for instance, you have the hidden ideas. As we have said, they're hidden, right? They cost nothing, and yeah, well, simple, right? Country. Now, country are basically national spirits. National spirit equals yes. Government. Now, these, whenever you see slots, it means that it's actually in the politics tab. So for instance, you know, the mobilization laws, the political advisors, this is a tab. The government is actually a tab. It's not an idea tag, just so you know. These here, however, are the idea tags. Simple, right? Research production, for instance, this is another tab. You can give it a name in the localization, which is the name that's going to show up in the politics tab. You can also give it an icon if you're into that kind of stuff, but I won't really be getting into this in this episode. I might cover that stuff in a different video. But for today, you can see the military staff tab and so on. So, as I've said, you have the ideas here, you have the idea tag, and then you have the idea ID, which is basically a special name for the idea. Simple, right? It doesn't really have to be tag underscore this and this. It can be whatever you want, but this is just a good example of how it works, right? So an idea can have a bunch of settings. First is the picture, which is the icon used for the idea. Second is allowed. Allowed is basically the condition in which this idea would be, check this, visible. This is very important. This is different because there's allowed and then there is available. I'm not sure if I have an example here, but maybe I can find one. No, not here. Maybe we can check, say, the economic clause. So these are things like, you know, undisturbed, isolation, and so on. But as you can see, there's a bunch of settings. I'm right now mainly looking for a good example on the ones that have, yeah, this one, partial mobilization. Now, a good example here is that you cannot really do partial mobilization unless you have more than 25% available war score, or available war support, sorry. But here, allowed means that this idea is visible. This means that this idea, this Afghani army, chief of army, will not be visible. It's not even going to be on the list if I'm not playing as Afghanistan, as you could see. So if I'm playing as Germany, I'm not really going to see this guy. If I'm playing as Afghanistan, I'm going to see this guy in the list. Available is the conditions or the triggers that, if met, I can actually select this idea. As you could see, if I have less war support than, say, 25%, I cannot, and I say again, I simply cannot take this idea. Simple, right? So then of course you have the cost, which is the cost in political power. So in this case I have to pay 150 political power to get this. Removal cost -1. Now removal cost is, let's say I have a certain idea, right? A company, Messerschmitt. I could say that for you to remove Messerschmitt you need to pay 200 political power. However, setting it to -1 means that you cannot remove the idea. Simple. Modifier. These are the modifiers we were talking about. So you can see here consumer goods factor, you can see production speed. This is the construction speed for military factories, for instance. AI will do is basically the factor, whether the AI will do this or not. It could be a factor, you could pretty much add it. These here are called modifiers. I guess I'm gonna make an idea on the AI and how you can customize their behavior in a separate video, but for now that's what we call AI will do. So the AI will do this 2%, but this 2 will be multiplied by 20 if this country is a major. Simple stuff indeed. So that's basically what an idea is. Nothing really complex, isn't it? Okay, so some ideas can actually, instead of having modifiers, they can have traits. Now traits obviously have modifiers. It's nothing special. It's kind of like, you know, Army Chief Defensive or Army Chief Reform, or I don't know. These are just traits. You might be wondering, where can I find these traits? Again, simple stuff. You can just go to Country Leader and Traits, and here of course you can find all the traits you want. So these are mainly leader traits, but if you scroll down you can actually find, say, yeah, Army Chief Reformer or Army Chief Organizational Guy, or I don't know, it's all up to you. You can of course make your own trait. So a trait obviously has a sprite, which is the picture. Of course you could just delete this, which means that it will not have a picture on it, and here of course you can put whatever modifiers you want. AI will do. This is interesting because you could customize this as much as you want. So let's say, for example, if I'm playing, you can pretty much set it right so that communist countries will not take the maneuver guy, or the Soviet Union at least will not take that guy. Well, the guy with this trait anyways. So you could see that there is a lot of lots of customization here, lots of customization potential, right? So again, ideas are quite useful tools for modders to apply whatever they want, to apply their ideas at least as reality. Now, I believe we are done with ideas. Again, as I've said, this video is going to be quite short. However, we are today going to check the modifiers. So I do have it here. Now, conditions, commands. I'm rather sure that I had modifiers. Yeah, modifiers. Here we go. Yeah, I didn't really save it properly, so yeah, there's no pictures whatsoever. Well, there is, but But if you go to the wiki page, there should be a modifiers thread where you can actually check, you know, what a modifier is. You could of course check the modifiers. So these are the ones were added in Waking the Tiger, and these are the ones that currently exist. They of course have them separated into AI modifiers, army modifiers, Air Force modifiers, all that kind of stuff, research, country modifiers. So this is pretty much where you can find the modifiers that you can use. Keep in mind that Paradox, with the new updates, they always tend to add more and more of these. So I highly advise that whenever there's an update, you just check these up. Now you can see, for instance, if I want to change the gain instability per week, I can just add this modifier here. And this is of course an example. But yes, you can see that it is very simple stuff. Modding in Hearts of Iron 4 is honestly quite easy compared to the previous Hearts of Iron games. The community is much bigger. Of course, support for Workshop just made things a whole lot easier, although the Workshop can sometimes mess your work up, but that rarely happens, honestly. So I know this video has been quite short, but well, I don't think that ideas really deserve, say, an hour or two to explain how they work. They are quite simple stuff. You can of course check the code in vanilla and you will see what I mean by simplicity. So if you guys have any questions about today's lesson, just leave a comment down below and I will make sure to read and reply to that comment. You can of course also send me a message, say on Discord. A link of that will also be posted in the description down below. Now, I already have a plan for what things in modding I will cover next. But if you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section down below. That was the Algerian General. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Cheers.